Let's look at Revelation 20, verse 11 through 15. John seemingly picks up with a little bit more of the story, and the Lord showed him the same scenario. He said, "And I saw a great white throne, and the one sitting on it. The earth and sky tried to flee from his presence, but they found no place to hide. I saw the dead, both great and small, standing before God's throne, and the books were opened, including the book of life. And the dead were judged according to what they had done, as recorded in the books. The sea gave up its dead, and death and grave gave up their dead, and all were judged according to their deeds." Let me help you understand. I don't want to get in depth about this today. What he's saying is every single person that had died from the beginning of time, they were resurrected. So there have been people who have died in the sea by drowning, boats, wars. There have been thousands of men that have died because of wars. They died in the sea. And then when you notice he said the sea, death, and the grave. So there are some people who have died in waters. There are some people who have died in alleys, airplane crashes. There are some people that have been murdered or in the woods. Y'all get my point. There are a lot of skeletons and bones. People have died and been vaporized. Seems like they're vaporized, they're not vaporized. And then you have people that they got what we call a proper burial in the grave. So he said all three scenarios, the sea, people that have died in many different parts of the planet, including the wilderness and the forest, as well as those in the grave, everybody was conjured up and stood before God at the same time. This helps you understand why they need billions of angels to attend to God over this one scenario. Okay? So the sea gave up its dead, death and the grave gave up their dead. All were judged according to their deeds. Then death and the grave were thrown into the lake of fire. This lake of fire is the second death. There are two types of death. You have physical, you have spiritual. Physical death simply means your body stops working and the real you comes out of your body. The second death, or spiritual death, is you are separated from God and now you must live in darkness forever. That's what it means by the second death. You died physically, now you're getting ready to die a second time. And anyone whose name was not found recorded in the book of life was thrown into the lake of fire. Now, I wanted to bring up a couple of things here, because this scenario is actually, when we all stand before God and you're in this scenario, it is both mesmerizing, wonderful, beautiful, and it is full of terror, and it is horrific at the same time. Okay, the scripture says God is both wonderful and terrible. This is not a good scenario. This is not of, oh, we can't wait until the judgment day. This is, can you hold this off a little bit more time? I want you to imagine every single person that has ever been born since the beginning of time. And all of us are all at the throne of God at the same time. Okay, now this lets you also know how big God's throne is. This is what I mean by we cannot draw these things down to size. Men can see it. When you go into the spiritual realm, there is no limit on your intellect, your memory, your eyesight. You can see something 500 million miles long. You can actually see it. When you come back to earth, you got to then try to draw this down to scale. Okay, so you got all of these individuals that are standing before the throne of God, and then when we're all standing there, this is a very glorious scene. Throw up a picture of that angel. This is a very mundane picture of an angel. Though that's what some of those beings look like, and that's just a very, very simple one. You remember the angel that appeared to Daniel in chapter 10. It says when he saw it, he instantly fell into a coma because his intellect could not handle that level. Now imagine millions of these dudes around the throne. And the reason why the scripture uses millions is because when it was written, the word billion and trillion did not exist. So they'll say millions upon millions upon millions because they didn't have the terminology for billions and trillions, or maybe more than that. Like I said, God created angels for the universe, not just planet Earth. That's why there's so many of them. The Bible says 1/3 of them fail and were tricked by Satan. So you have this scenario, and it's very, very horrific because then books are open. Books are open, and the scripture says that the individuals that are not found in the master book, the book of life, they are thrown immediately into the lake of fire. Okay, so you are not allowed to say last words like they do in the courts in planet Earth. You're not allowed to see and talk to your family members who are in heaven and say, this is the last time I'm going to see you forever. Okay, you're not allowed, you're not given your favorite meal. You're not allowed to read a particular book or have a particular experience. The moment they open that book and your name is not there, an angel will grab you. They will not walk you to hell. They will not have a conversation to hell. They literally take you and throw you in, because that's their level of disrespect to folk who don't belong to God. You are trash at that moment. Okay, now I know this is very, very horrific, but let me tell you something about the eternal realm. The eternal realm, God said something to me that was so powerful, and it shook me. He said, in the eternal realm, there is no forgiveness, there is no mercy, and there is no grace. It does not exist. Now that seems strange at first, but when I started thinking about it, I was like, oh. In the eternal realm, there is no forgiveness, there is no grace, there is no mercy, and there is no time. God created this realm so that if you messed up, then they could extend mercy, because God's mercy to you is giving you more time. Okay, they could extend forgiveness. Do you ever wonder why when Satan messed up in the eternal realm, there was instant judgment and no forgiveness? No forgiveness for the angels that fell. And some of the angels were actually tricked. In the book of Enoch, it says angels came to mankind and said that when Satan did this, he tricked us into following him. One guy said, I was just with him and still got caught up in the mess. It's getting into all the deeper stuff, okay? So there is no grace and there is no mercy. And so you've heard me say that when you step into eternity, however you step in, nothing can change. Your mentality cannot change. Your works cannot change. And so this is the reason why there's a spirit upon the world right now, that because God is so merciful in the time realm, he extends grace to you in this realm. He forgives you so many times. He said, I will forgive you. He told the disciples, 70 times 7, forgive unlimited. A righteous man falls 7 times and gets back up again. God said, if you sin, I will forgive you and cleanse you from how much? All unrighteousness. How many of you have sinned and made the same mistake over and over and over and over again? We didn't exercise faith. We did not trust God. We got mad at him, and he still brought you out. So the danger in that is that's how he operates in this realm. In this realm, things can be manipulated. In this realm, things can be changed. In this realm, things can be canceled. In this realm, things can be forgiven. In this realm, the laws can be bended and broken, overcome. For example, you have the law of gravity. The law of gravity says what must go up must come down. Throw something that come down. Gravity is a force that was created by God in this realm. Leave this realm, gravity does not work because it doesn't exist. Y'all got me? And so God created gravity for this realm, but the laws that he created for this realm, some of them can be bent, some of them can be broken. That sounds like Morpheus doing it. Okay, so there's another law called the law of lift. If you institute the law of lift, it can override the law of gravity. That does not work in the eternal realm. In the eternal realm, everything is rigid. It's the same. It does not change. It cannot be bent. It cannot be broken. It cannot be overwritten. There is no forgiveness. There is no grace. There is nothing. When you enter that realm, however you enter is how you stay. So that's why there are so many people in the world, including some Christians, who think that because God's mercy and forgiveness and grace is so strong in this realm, they believe that when they stand before God, he's going to institute the same forgiveness and the same grace and the same mercy. But they don't understand because they don't read the Bible, and some people don't even believe and understand this. They don't understand you entered into a realm where nothing changes. When you go into it, however you went in, that's it. Only thing now is to be judged. It's rigid. I mean, it's unbreakable. It's very, very tense. I mean, there is no gray areas. It's black. It's white. It's either you right or you wrong. You either for me or against me. Remember what Jesus said in scripture? He said, because like sometimes people try to play the gray area. Jesus said, if you are not for me alone, you are automatically against me. Well, I'm an agnostic. You're against me. Well, I believe there's other ways to heaven. You are against me. I don't really know if it's one God or multiple. You are against me until you accept me. So, and the planet doesn't know.